Hey, Twisted people, it's your Twisted Woman here, Chauncey K. Robinson. And well, I am talking about a little bit of news that you might have heard at the time of this video that the MCU's Blade reboot may be PG-13. Yes, that Blade, the vampire slayer, may be PG-13 when it comes to the reboot that is in development at the moment. Now, we don't know necessarily when it's going to be filmed or released or anything like that, but people, news outlets and blogs and others are reporting based on Kevin Feige, the head of Marvel Studios, recent interview that he did. And basically in that interview, people are speculating or more so inferring from what he said, which was kind of presenting the fact that Deadpool 3 or the Deadpool franchise is the only rated R superhero movie that we are going to be getting, right? That is currently in development. So that, of course, would make most people infer that since he's already mentioned Blade being in development, that Blade then is not going to be rated R like its predecessor with Wesley Snipes being rated R. Kevin Feige is basically quoted as saying, other than Deadpool, which has already established itself as a certain genre and a certain rating that we already said we would not mess with when we started working on Deadpool, which we have. Other than that, we haven't encountered a story or storyline or a character's journey that a PG-13 or the tone or the rating we've been using up to this point has prevented us. We've told all the stories that we wanted to with the tonality and the rating we have now. I'm guessing many people are kind of put off by the fact that this will be PG-13. Now, I've seen some people say basically that, well, you don't need the gratuitous gore and blood for there to be a good Blade movie. I'm not saying that's not necessarily the case. What I'm saying is that Blade does have gore and blood because he's Blade. He has a blade. That is literally his main thing that he uses, hence his name in a way, or play on his name in a way. And, what we see is that he slices vampires up. And if we don't get that, I don't know, I feel like it just kind of takes away from some of the coolness that we got when it came to the Wesley Snipes franchise, which is one of my favorites. So I'm on board for the most part with being excited about what they may do with a character that I really do like. What I am worried about, for lack of a better term, that they may kind of defang Blade. He's a half vampire that hunts down vampires and evil vampires. And, one of the ways he does that, like I was just saying, is through a blade. And in the Wesley Snipes versions, we got plenty of blood and gore and things like that. But I never thought it was gratuitous. I actually thought it was at times very poetic looking, the way he would slice them up and things like that. And I guess what I'm worried about is that they're going to do something like, if people have ever watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer, where when they stab the vampire, they just puff up in smoke and go away. Now, I think some of the reasons why they may be choosing to rate it PG-13 is marketability, right? Marvel's got toys to sell and things like that. And if you lower the audience that can honestly watch your movie, you lower the chances for it to sell tickets for the amount of people who can go responsibly, right? So I think in one sense, there's perhaps a sense when it comes to this movie, especially him being a Black superhero, a popular Black superhero in its own right, Blade, the character, that perhaps a positive way of looking at this is that they don't want to make the audience smaller when it comes to this franchise, right? They want to give it the chance to be widely watched. So I can see that. in another sense, well, I mean, just like Deadpool, for you to really tell the story of Deadpool in a way means that it has to be a rated R with the kind of character that is. And I think in a way I lean towards the idea that Blade is a kind of character like that as well, that it kind of needs to be rated R to really get the full scope of this character's abilities and who they are and the world they exist in, right? There was something about the Wesley Snipes Blade that was gritty, that was, urban fantasy, that was, real and raw in some ways, while also having a fantasy vibe. Now, we have heard in other reports as Ali has given interviews where he's saying that he's very excited for the fact that he is actually saying that the tone of Blade will be a bit darker. So I don't think they're necessarily going to make it cookie cutter and a Captain America, or something like that. But if it's not rated R, just how dark can you go? So while I understand the idea of markability, I also think when you try to please everyone, you are still running a gamble, because if it doesn't please everyone, especially with this being a leading Black character, then what's going to be the excuse by the business model, right? Oh, those just don't work, so maybe we can't do it. But in reality, it's like, well, maybe you should have just allowed him to be rated R, because we actually already know that Blade movies do work, because the Wesley Snipes versions worked really well and were blockbuster hits, right? So that is out of the question. So it's kind of like also, well, the rated R version did well. So why do you need to do a PG-13? So yeah, overall, I'm going to take the recent news with a grain of salt. We all know the rumors and speculation that can come out of a lot of things. And yeah, just because right now, the president of Marvel Studios is saying that they don't see it, doesn't mean that things can't change, right? It doesn't mean that maybe closer to development that there may be an idea of saying, well, maybe we should do this rated R. Okay, Twisted people, let me know your thoughts below. Do you think that the MCU reboot of Blade could stand to be PG-13? Or are you also feeling that it should totally be rated R just like Deadpool 3? Let me know, comment down below, and let me know if you're excited about the reboot at all. And also be sure to subscribe so that you are the first to know when I post my videos. Thanks for watching.